Welcome to Lizards of the Toe 6. It would have been if it didn't hit the box. We have our Rakdos Hollow one here, or Rakdos discard, and it's not that mono red variety. You see, this is the Lizards of the Toast variety. We had this one floating around for a long time. So let's get into it. We'll talk about it. This deck has gotten a lot better since the recent unbanning of Faithless Looting. I don't need to tell you guys that. You know. Look at that Orc army. So, our deck is different than most of them. Ours is closer to like 10% of the Hollow one metagame. It's like that. A little different. But we'll go through it. So, we have Orc army, so you know what's going to be in here. Now, here's the Terracotta Man himself. So it's 5 mana, but because it's a discard, it costs 2 less to cast for each card you've cycled or discarded this turn, and that's really great because we're going to be doing that a lot. So usually we can pay him for 2, if not pay nothing. And if you have a couple in your hand, that's just great. So 1, 2, 3, 4 of those, of course. Now here, this is just like the Slick Shot Show-Off. The card is so good for this deck. Another one that's really pushed this deck power level up high. This card... Now, I love it, but look at it. Just look at it for a second. It's like Slick Shot, like a bird, wizard, cowboy. Okay, now this is a shark, pirate, race car driving man, beast. So, yeah, it has toes. I don't know. Does anybody want to play Magic in a world where a shark has toes? Well, I guess we have to. So, we got 2 foilies and... So let's talk about the Marauding Mako. Whenever we discard 1 or more cards, that many 1/1 counters go on this creature. That cycling's great too, because it can give another 1 counters if you don't want to have 1 out. So, the counters stay. It's not like until end of turn, so it's not like a prowess trigger. So this is really popular. Powerful. So, say like we are, like let's say turn 1... we have this in our hand. We play something on turn 2. We play the Mako, and then with a Faithless Looting, we can have a 3/3 on turn 2. And so on and so forth. And with like a Burning Inquiry, play this and then do a Burning Inquiry, and then you have a 4/4. So, even better. So, yep, we're running 4 of those. FOMO. Now, this card I love. I love this card. It's really finding its way in a lot of decks. So when Fear of Missing Out enters, discard a card, then draw a card. 1 in a red. That's cheap. It's also giving into our discard thing, and it has Delirium. So whenever Fear of Missing Out attacks for the first time each turn, if there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard, and tap target creature. After this phase, there is an additional combat phase. Right now I have 8 FOMOs. I have 8 of these. So I think I got 3 in here, if I have it correctly. Let's see, did I do it right? 1, L2, L3, yes. So a lot of decks I see are running 2 of these, but I like 3. We have the Phoenix, the Pahonix, the Detective's Pahonix. Why a Detective's Pahonix? Right? I guess you know, collect evidence and stuff. Yeah, I get the book. Yeah, okay. There it is. Now I look silly. Okay, so Detective Phoenix. I just figured out why it's called Detective Phoenix. I never really thought about Evidence Detective, but Flying Haste, enchanted creature gets +2/+2 and has Flying and Haste. So this is a great enabler. It's a way to utilize things like higher mana cost things like the utility creature that is Street Wraith. A Street Wraith and 1 other card, and you've bestowed. So again, like, very easy to play out of the graveyard, and gives us like a kind of like an end game in our graveyard. Like the next card we're going to be talking about here is Ox of Agonis. When Ox of Agonis enters the battlefield, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. I just have to say, Theros, I loved those sets. I loved the first one. I love all the Theros. I thought that the names they used were really great. They could almost be like ancient Grecian names. Just like this, Agonis. Enters the battlefield, discard your hand, then draw 3 cards. So Exile 8 other cards from the graveyard. That seems like a lot to do, but it isn't because we're really emptying our hand quick between the Faithless Looting and the Burning Inquiries. So, oh, and as always, this deck will be in the description below. So, again, escapes with a 1/1 counter on it. Just very good discard. We have 1, a T, a 3. All right, to go along with our Ox, another nice full art here. Nethergoyf, 1 black. Power is equal to the number of card types among cards in the graveyard, and its toughness is equal to that number plus 1. I think we can get up to like a 6, 7. Escape cost is 2 and a black. That's good too. Exile any number of other cards from your graveyard with 4 more card types among them. So it'll escape, but it'll be weakened, unfortunately. But at 1 black, we're running those. All right, now Orcish Bowmasters. This is what makes the deck pretty expensive. If you look, the decks that don't use this do not do as well. And I know myself, for experimenting not using this, does not do as well. This is a powerhouse in this deck, and it is an insert 4 in the main. Sometimes you can sideboard 1. So it's got flash. We know what the Bowmaster does. I don't really need to say it, right? And we understand why this is good, because Burning Inquiry. If we have a couple of these on the battlefield, the Burning Inquiry is going to be a game ender. 1, 2, 3, and 4. So that's going to do damage out. And we're going to have Orcs amassed. It's going to be its own little board wipe. Now, Street Wraith, we're probably never casting this. I have not cast a Street Wraith. I've only cycled Street Wraith. Never cast one. Really haven't. Yeah, I can't think of any time in my life I've cast a Street Wraith. But you have the cycling cost to pay 2 life, discard this card, draw a card. So 1, 2, 3, 4. So in this deck, this is kind of like, it does 2 damage to us when we draw it. We put it away, and we get to draw a card. And whenever we're going to bestow 3, 4, 5, and then bestow 1 other card, and we'll still maintain like a pretty decent delirium count, hopefully, just by having to get rid of 1 of those. And as you see, just to hold up the show a little bit here, when you don't have to get too crazy, because you have creature, see? We have enchantment creature, another enchantment creature, and artifact creature. So among our creature types, we have 3 types alone right there. So artifact, an enchantment creature, and this creature. 2 lightning bolts. We tried 3, but the Tarfire in the 1 spot is really good there, because it is always going to give us 2 card types. So Burning Inquiry, each player draws 3 cards and discards 3 cards at random. So turn 2, we play our Bowmasters. Turn 3, we Burning Inquiry. That is going to be +3/+3 for our Bowmasters. 3 damage is going to be dealt to our opponent or creatures they control. So of course we're running 3 of those. Faithless Looting. Draw 2 cards and discard 2 cards. Again, see how this deck is not just a hollow deck, but it works around the Orcish Bowmasters. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. Look how obnoxious this is. And this card is so good. That flashback is good. All of it's good. This is just, I love Faithless Looting. I'm so happy it was unbanned. Draw 2 cards, discard 2 cards. We have Goblin Lore in the 1. We were running 2, but 1 is just where it's at. Draw 4 cards and discard 3 cards at random. What the heck? Now let's talk about the mana base. Because this is a Blood Moonsy Doonsers, we have 1 black mana. Now why do we have 1 black basic like that? I'll show you. Because if we go through here, all of these, except Street Wraith, which I say we never are going to cast anyways, we just have 1 black mana that we need. It's mostly red. It's almost a mono red deck. So we have 1 black basic and 2 red basics, because it's mostly red and we don't always want to get a fetch land. So there's 3 basics. 1, 2, 3 blood crypts. We don't always want to damage ourselves. We have a Raucous Theater. So enters the battlefield tapped, but we get to surveil. And you could definitely have a blood crypt in place of this. And Arena of Glory. A lot of decks I see run 3 and 4 of these. We've played with 2. And honestly, because of our Phoenix, I find this to be redundant for that. So it does its job. I just like 1 in here. Now this is neat. We have Black Cleave Cliffs. It's not often you see this in Modern, but this has proven so good. We were running 4, but we had to pinch down our mana base a little bit. So we're running 3 of these now. So I like 3 because, as you see, enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 2 or fewer other lands. So that way, I guess there's never going to be like a time where the Black Cleave Cliffs blocks itself necessarily between turns 1 and 3. We don't want 4, like 2 Black Cleave Cliffs and then draw 1 and then get 1 and then it's just there. So I think 3 works pretty good. Isn't that nice too? So, Bloodstained Mire, of course, we got 1, 2, 3, and 4. And Woodsy Foothills. 1, 2. And Polluted Delta, rounding it out there. So, fetch lands, 7 in all. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I think you could go down to 17 lands. Just saying. But for my intents and purposes and the way I've built the deck, I need that swamp. And I'll show you why. Because we're going to talk about the sheet board. All right. Oh, there we go. Oh, thank you. All right. So we have 2 Magebane Lizards, and I'm really thinking about adding a 3rd. It's so good against Storm. Whenever a player casts a non-creature spell, Magebane Lizard deals damage to that creature equal to the number of non-creature spells they've cast this turn. Really good for us because honestly, I feel like we're not necessarily casting more than 1 non-creature spell anyways, but 3 of these I think would be really good, and I'm really considering it. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Leyline of the Void. If Leyline of the Void is in the opening hand, you may begin the game with it on the battlefield, and how nice is that? If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. This is great for us in this pseudo-delirium discard deck because we don't care about their graveyards at all. Our little mini Tarmogoyf there is building off of himself. So we have 2 Rough and Tumbles here. Rough deals 2 damage to each creature without flying. That's a really quick early game board wipe. And then late game against Murktide, you have 5 and a red. Tumble deals 6 damage to each creature with flying. So that's going to hit Murktide and other things. And even against like a mirror match, if somebody has bestowed a Phoenix on something, so you don't have to take damage the next turn if you have the mana, you can obviously late game do that. And that would be a time, too, where you would exert. You could use an exerted bit of mana. But there's just 10. There is just 2 of those, and mostly it's just played for the rough side. So, we have Thoughtseize. Target player reveals their hand. You choose a non-land card from it. That player discards that card. You lose 2 life. 2 of those. Now, here's why I have that swamp. We got Magoose of the Moon. I'm the Magoose and I'm on the loose and I'm turning on basic lands to mountains. Oh no. So the Magoose does just that. It's the Blood Moon on a stick. So we have a Blood Moon. Non-basic lands are mountains, certainly. And we have a Blood Moon. Non-basic lands are mountains. Oh, how nice. We have 2 Fatal Pushes to supplement our removal there. And that is it, my friends. This deck is a lean, mean fighting machine. We may do some gold fishing, and I definitely know we're going to have some matchups. We actually have to do gold fishing with Skelementals first, because I uploaded it, and it was a really great one, too. We were turn 3 and left and right, and unfortunately, somewhere in the upload, it didn't upload to YouTube properly, and I went ahead and deleted it. So, them's the breaks, I guess, right? Thanks for joining me. We're under 15 minutes. I'm getting better at this. I've done it almost 1,000 times. You'd think I'd get a little better at it by now, but oh my goodness. Thank you for joining me. And get a drink there. Oh, yummy. We will, like I said, we'll do some mulligan guide, and then you guys are going to see some serious gameplay of this deck versus all of our top contenders. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, thank you. Aren't I gratuitous? Aren't I gracious? Oh, 6. Yeah! Come on, one more time. Let's go 4. Oh! Whoa! Oh, it was 6. I should have said 6. 4. 1. 4. Get at it.